Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see the current affairs of 8th September 2021. So first, let us see the list of the topics we are going to discuss in this lecture. It is just overview of what are the things we are going to discuss in this lecture. So actually, we are going to discuss about 9 articles which are very much relevant to UPSC. So first topic, it is about heads of interim government in Afghanistan. So recently, one important chief spokesperson of Taliban, he announced who will be the members or heads of interim government in Afghanistan. That will be important from international relations point of view. So in course of explanation, then you can understand why it is an important concern for India. And next one is Prime Minister urges private sector to help improve quality. So in this article mainly talking about education sector. So in education, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, so schools had been shut down from March 2020 onwards. So because of this, if we want to revive this education sector, and whatever the loss we had, that is learning loss, when you want to compensate this, what are the steps that can be taken? Okay, and what is the role of private sector? So this is mainly talking about in this article. And next topic, it is about one report which mainly says that what is impact of school closure. So that will be important again from education, which comes under GS paper 2. And next topic, it is about eShram portal. So in this eShram portal, so how many unorganized people they registered. So that is the thing which mainly given, and here we need to focus on what is this eShram portal actually, because this topic is very important from your prelims. You can expect a question from this eShram portal. And this one is Indian firms to give 9.4% pay rise in 2022. So this article mainly talking about increase in salaries especially. Okay, so this will be important from economy point of view, which comes under GS paper 3. And next topic, it is about Tribunal for CAPF. Okay, so this topic is very important from our governance and polity point of view. And next topic, it is about again NNP, National Monetization Pipeline. So here this article mainly focused one important dimension, because here it is mainly comparing with this public-private partnership model like BOT, build, operate and transfer thing. So I think I like this comparison. So we are going to discuss this, and this will be important from our economy point of view. And next one is about anti-Google law which come up by South Korea, and this type of laws are important in India even, because there are about 15 companies they reached. Okay, they mainly reached this one important organization regarding this monopoly by Google, and as well as Play Store and some app stores, etc. So regarding that, in the same lines, we can also come up with that law in India. And next one is Nifa Virus. So due to this Nifa Virus, 12 years old boy lost his life in Kerala. So actually, why we need to talk about this Nipa virus, because already Kerala which is battling against this COVID-19, and if you see throughout the India, Kerala which is mainly recording high number of cases. So on one side there is coronavirus, and on the other side now Nipa virus spread, which is one of important thing that is mainly happening in Kerala. So we are going to discuss about that in a very great detail. So these are the some important topics now we are going to discuss in this lecture. So first, let us see first topic. Title says Mullah Akhund to head interim Taliban government. So who is going to be head of interim Taliban government? That is Mullah Akhund. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. So if you are talking about context, it mainly says that Taliban announced the top members of their government. So Taliban chief spokesperson, okay, Taliban spokesman, okay. So he is Zabihullah Mujahid, which mainly speaking at press conference, and he revealed details of heads who are going to form this Taliban interim government. Right? This is that person. This is that spokesperson. And if you're talking about some details, it mainly says that chief spokesman, that is Jabihullah Mujahid, told press conference that the new government would be an interim government. So new government that is going to be formed in Afghanistan, at present it will be interim government. And in this interim government, Taliban veteran as well as head, that is Shura Council Mullah, okay, Shura Council, head of the Shura Council, he is a Mullah Muhammad Hassan Akund. So he would be serving as acting prime minister. So who is the acting prime minister of this Afghan-led interim government? That is Mullah Muhammad Hassan Akund. So he is the head of Shura Council. And here this Mullah Akund had served as deputy foreign minister under earlier Taliban regime and is on an UN blacklist. So this is one cause of concern here. So whenever any people who are present in this UN's blacklist or terrorists, right? So whenever government which comes under this hands of terrorist, means it will be not good for even civilian peoples and even countries which are sharing boundary also. And next one is the position of Interior Minister was given to Sirajuddin Haqqani. So he is the leader of feared Haqqani network. So this Haqqani network, which is one of terrorist organization, right? So because of this, one important thing I want to say here is, so this Haqqani network also had done attack in India. So there is one evidence that Haqqani group also conducted one terrorist attack in India. So in this context, whenever these Haqqani network and as well as people who are listed under this United Nations blacklist, so whenever they are forming government, means it will be one cause of concern. So this is about this topic. And if there is any further editorials which are coming on this topic, means we are compulsorily going to discuss that. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Prime Minister urges private sector to improve quality in government schools. So this article mainly talking about how to improve quality of education in government schools, and our Prime Minister mainly said that, so here private sector need to help to improve quality of education in government schools. So this article will be important from education, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So now let us try to see context first. So if you see context, it mainly says that the private sector must come forward and contribute to increase the quality of education in government schools. So our Prime Minister mainly said that here private sector it must come forward, and this private sector need to contribute for increase the quality of education in especially government schools. So if you see some more details to given in this article, it mainly says that our Prime Minister said that mainly while launching a portal to coordinate private contributors for school development. So recently our Prime Minister mainly addressing inauguration of 10-day Shikshak Pav. So this Shikshak Pav, it is a portal to coordinate private contributors for school development. So for school development, here they are also came up with a portal. It is to coordinate this private contributions for this school development. So under this, so during this addressing inauguration of this 10-day Shikshak Pav, so our Prime Minister praised teachers because they are mainly using online teaching and as well as assessment methods. So in this way, they are mainly promoting learning during this critical times like COVID-19 pandemic. So during this critical time of COVID-19 pandemic, so all the schools, colleges, some institutions, they had been shut down. So even though in these critical times, here teachers are mainly using some online teaching modules, online teaching apps, and as well as they are using some assessment methods. And in this way, they are mainly promoting learning during this critical situation. So for their contributions, our Prime Minister praised these teachers in this event, in this inauguration event of this 10-day Shikshak Pav. So if you are talking about some concerns, it mainly says that recent survey shows that many students in rural India, they had no access to digital education during this pandemic. So even though private teachers are mainly going for delivering their lectures and also they are conducting some education activities, mainly by using some online modules. But one of cause of concern here is from rural areas. So many rural students, they do not have a proper access for this digital education during this especially pandemic. So what might be reason? One is digital divide. So digital divide mainly caused because of lack of smartphones, or we can say laptop system, etc. And there is no proper internet connectivities, and there is no proper electricity supply, and there is no proper network like internet. Okay, so because of all these things, so in rural areas, many students in rural areas, they had no access to this digital education during this pandemic time. And if you are talking about this thing, so government mainly came up with these 5 initiatives. So first one is government came up with 10,000 word dictionary. So this 10,000 word dictionary for Indian Sign Language. And even they came up with book projects for visually challenged students also. For example, they might be written in Braille language. And next one is a teacher training program. Okay, they also came up with a teacher training program for early childhood education. And also they are going to come up with the standards which are mainly setting authority for Central Board of Secondary Education, and even Vidyanjali 2.0 portal to facilitate private donors also. And here our government, which mainly said that corporate social responsibility, CSR contribution, and even voluntary activities are the part of these initiatives. So what happened? What is a CSR? According to Companies Act, if so and so company which is having the net profit of so and so amount, then from that they need to provide 2%. They need to spend 2% of their profit mainly regarding the promotion of societal activities like education, health, so and so. Okay, so under this corporate social responsibility contributions and even volunteering activities, they will be the part of the initiatives. So these are the some important details. So if you're talking about what is the aim, so if you see aim, so we need to transform the education sector, not only just policy based, but even we need to make this education which is a participatory based. So for example, if there is any school which is present here, but many people, they are not interested to send their children to schools, especially in some tribal areas, especially in some rural areas. Parents, they won't send their children to school, and they will send them instead of schools to work, such that they will support for their family. So whenever we are going for transformation of this education sector, so this transformation should not be just based on policy, but it should be a participatory base. That means children need to be participated, children's parents need to be participated, right? And next one is, so it is a one of important part in our National Education Policy 2020. So under this new education policy or national education policy, which had involved consultation with academics, teachers and other stakeholders at every level. Okay, so in this way here society participation is also very important. And next important thing here is what is the need, what can be done. So we need to involve society. When we want to make education just policy based to participatory based, we need to involve the society. So in this society we are having private sector. So here this private sector, they need to come forward and they need to contribute for increasing the quality of education in government schools, especially during this post-pandemic era. And next one is a recent report which mainly said about impact of school closures in 15 states by the team which mainly headed by economists, that is Jean Zre. So Jean Zre mainly came up with one study and finally he came up with a report. So this report mainly focusing on what is the impact of school closure in 15 states. Okay, and if you're talking about highlights of this report, it mainly said that only 8% of rural students and 24% of urban students, only 8% of rural students and 24% of urban students, they had regular access to digital education during this pandemic. So whoever they are having some smartphone abilities and where they are having some proper internet connectivity and they are having some suitable things which are present in their homes, then only 8% from rural areas and just 24% from urban areas, they had regular access to education during this pandemic. And next one is among the rural students, 37%, okay, 37%, they entirely stopped their studying. And if you see another survey from Annual Status of Education Report, okay, so another survey from this Annual Status of Education Report in rural Karnataka, which mainly found that primary and elementary students, they have suffered an year of learning loss. So there is also one more study which mainly says that, so according to IAS report, Annual Status of Education Report in rural Karnataka, which mainly found that primary and as well as elementary students, they have suffered a year of learning loss in foundational literacy and numeracy. So regarding this foundational literacy and numeracy, so even children, okay, children from rural Karnataka, they lost a lot. So this is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says survey details catastrophic impact of school closure. So this article mainly talking about impact of school closure on children. So this also very important regarding GS paper 2 under education. So if you are talking about some important details, first let us try to see context. So if you see context, it mainly says that the prolonged closure of primary and as well as upper primary schools since onset of pandemic. So what happened? There is a prolonged closure. So since March 2020 onwards, almost all the schools, all colleges, even some universities, they had been closed. So there is a prolonged closure of primary and upper primary schools, that is since onset of the pandemic, that is from March 2020 onwards. So this report mainly says that due to this closure of schools, that led to some catastrophic consequences on school students, particularly especially in rural areas and as well as some important things. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly said by this emergency report. So if you are talking about details, it mainly says that based on school, okay, that is school children's online and offline learning, which mainly conducted by the researchers. Okay, so based on this school children offline and also online learning, that is school survey, so which mainly conducted by researchers. And in this report, they said that only 8% of school students, mainly from rural areas, they have been access to this online education. And if you see, at least 37%, they have stopped studying altogether. So these are some important highlights. About 18% of school students in rural area, they had been access, only 8%. Okay, it is not 18, it is only 8%. So now let us imagine, so if there is any 100 people, 100 children are present in rural areas, out of this only 8 students, they are having access to this online education because of proper internet connectivity and also proper smartphones, etc. So this report also says that about 37% they have stopped even studying altogether whenever this onset of this corona which came into our life. So what is the inference from these details? So the reach of this online education is very limited. The proportion of school children who were studying online regularly was just 24 and as well as 8% in rural and urban areas respectively. So this report mainly says that the reach for this online education is very limited, and just 24% of children, they were studying online, okay, online regularly, and they are mainly, okay. And next one is about 8% of urban and rural areas, they are having some online classes. Okay, so this is some important thing. 24% from urban areas, 8% from rural areas, they are going for regular online classes. So what about the rest of the people? God knows. Okay, so now let us try to see the reasons. So if you see the reasons, first one is there is no smartphones. There is no digital gadgets, for example tablets, mobile phones, even laptop systems are not there. And next one is, even this report highlighted one important thing, that is what is the relationship between the teachers and students in both rural areas and as well as urban areas. So this report mainly says that about 51% of respondents in urban areas and 58% of respondents in rural areas, they are saying that they had not met teachers during the month preceding this survey. So before 1 month of this survey, so this survey highlights that the students, 51% of respondents in urban areas and about 58% of respondents in rural areas, they said that they had not met their teachers during this previous month of this survey, till previous month of this survey. And next one is, in addition to the education, the closure also affected the level of nutrition, because here midday meal program has been stopped. So now let us try to focus on the important details of this study. So this report covered about 1,362 sample households, and these houses are present across 15 states. They include Assam, Bihar, Delhi, Gujarat, Haryana, Jharkhand and Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and as well as West Bengal. So in these areas, in these 15 states, about 1362 people, they were surveyed, and the survey also found that Dalit and Adivasi children, that means Dalits means we can say like scheduled caste and as well as scheduled tribe children, they were of greater disadvantage. Okay, so these are some important details of this study. So now let us try to see what will be the impact. So the impact will be prolonged school lockdown. Okay, prolonged school lockdown, it is one of the largest in the world, and it mainly led to colossal disaster. It mainly led to disaster. And next one is, it will take some years of time mainly to repair this damage which mainly caused to this education sector. So in this context, what is the need? We need to go for reopening of the schools. Reopening of the schools, it is a first step. Mainly to achieve this first step, we need to take some number of preparations. For example, we need to focus on repairing of the school buildings, and even we need to issue safety guidelines, and even training teachers and as well as enrollment drives we can conduct, and we can go for visibly or virtually invisible by the states. So these are some important things that can be done. I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to next topic. Title says 21.02 lakh unorganized workers registered so far. So where they registered? They registered in this eShram portal. So here we need to talk about this eShram portal. So this will be important regarding our GS paper 2 under governance, that is e-governance. So now let us try to see context first. If you see context, it mainly says that the government's eShram portal registered 21 lakh unorganized sector workers. So about 21 lakh unorganized sector workers, they have been registered in this eShram portal. So this is according to data which may be released by Labour and Employment Ministry. So it is according to Labour and Employment Ministry's data. So if you are talking about some facts regarding this eShram portal, so an important aim of this portal, it is to register 38 crore unorganized workers. For example, workers who are mainly working in construction sites like construction laborers and migrant workforce, street vendors, domestic workers, etc. So these people mainly comes under this unorganized sector workers. So the important aim, it is to register about 38 crore unorganized sector workers. For example, construction laborers, migrant workforce, street vendors and even domestic workers who are working in houses. Okay, for example, washing of dishes and as well as washing of clothes and keeping house clean, etc. And this one is workers, they will be issued eShram card, and this card mainly contains 12-digit unique number. And if worker is registered under this e-Shram portal and meets with an accident, and he will be eligible, or he or she will be eligible for rupees 2 lakh on death or permanent disability and rupees 1 lakh on partial disability. So this implemented mainly by government in states and union territories. They will conduct registration of these unorganized workers across the country. And now let us try to see why we need this. Because if you are talking about data which is released by Periodic Labour Force Survey, that is PLFS 2018-19 data, which mainly says that about 90% of workers, they were mainly working in informal sectors. They did not have any social security net. And about 419 million or 465 million workers, they are working in this informal or unorganized sector. So informal workers, especially in rural areas and urban areas, they have been hit the most because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So because of seasonality of their employment and as well as lack of formal employee-employer relationship, their livelihood has been lost. So because of this, we need this type of portal. And if you're talking about some important data, so this will be very important to write your mains answer. So if you're talking about status of unorganized sector in India, so our Ministry of Labour and Employment, which mainly categorized unorganized labor mainly under 4 groups. They include based on occupation, so which work they are doing, and nature of employment, whether it is seasonal or whether it is a full time, that is throughout the year. And this one is specially distressed category and even service category. So based on these 4 groups, Ministry of Labour and Employment has categorized unorganized labor force. So first one is based on occupation. So based on occupation, they may be small and marginal farmers and landless agricultural laborers who are mainly working in other fields, and sharecroppers, fishermen, and also people who engage in animal husbandry, beading making, etc. And if you're talking about next one, that is nature of employment, so it mainly attached agricultural laborers, bonded laborers, migrant workers, contract and casual laborers, they mainly comes under this category. And this one is specially distressed category. For example, toddy tappers, mainly they will depend upon this toddy milk. And next one is scavengers, and also the people who mainly carry heavy load on their heads, that are called as head loads. And next one is drivers of animal driven vehicles, loaders and unloaders. So they will be also comes under this unorganized sector. And if you're talking about service category, so they include midwives, domestic workers, fishermen and women, barbers, vegetable and fruit vendors, newspaper vendors, etc. They will comes under this unorganized sector. So these are 4 categories. So you have to remember this for sure. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Indian firms to give 9.4% pay rise. So there is a pay rise of 9.4%. It is an important and also good news for private employees. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this will be important from our economy point of view, which comes under GS paper 3. So if you see context, it mainly says that Indian organizations, they have displayed resilience, and now the salary increment is being projected mainly to grow from an average 8.8% this year, and it mainly going to increase to 9.4% in 2022. So it is according to one survey. So according to one survey here, there will be going to increment in salaries by 9.4% in 2022. So if you see some details, it mainly says that according to INS 26th annual salary increase survey, which mainly says that it is about that will be increased to 9.4%, and compared with 97.5% companies in 2021. So if you see 97.5 companies in India, they are going to increase the salaries. So that's it. Now let us move on to editorials. So we are going to discuss 4 editorials which are very much important from our UPSC point of view. So first, let's get started with our editorials. So first editorial we are going to discuss is needed a tribunal for CAPF. So for CAPF, that is Central Reserve Police Force, that is CRPF, right? So for this we need a tribunal for this Central Reserve Police Force. So actually we discussed about these tribunals in our yesterday's lecture introduction, right? So I am not going to discuss introduction again. So we are going to see what is written in this article. So this will be important from our polity point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. And this topic will be important from our mains. So first let us try to see the central theme. So around which this article which is rotating. So if you are talking about central theme, it mainly says that it would ensure, that means the tribunals for this CAPF which mainly ensure speedy delivery of justice, and also it will reduce the burden on high courts. So it is about tribunals. So what is the importance of tribunals? So already we know that it will decrease burden on our high courts, and as well as we can expect speedy delivery. Yes, so this is the thing which mainly focusing in this article also. So if you see the background regarding this tribunal, why we need tribunal? Because over years there have been numerous cases of this CRPF, Central Reserve Armored Police Force. Okay, so there is increasing on numerous cases of this Central Armored Reserve Force, okay, Police Force, Central Armored Police Force, or we can say that CRPF, that is Central Reserve Police Force officers. So because of these cases, they are mainly outstaying leave. They are on leave. So if you're talking about because of this event, because of this numerous cases, so Ministry of Home Affairs, that is our Union Ministry of Home Affairs, mainly issued orders for CRPF headquarters on August 23, 2021 to include provisions of the Security Force Code as available in acts and rules of the CAPF, Central Armored Police Forces. So here, because of increase in number of cases, now Ministry of Home Affairs recently, that is on August 23rd, 2021, which mainly gave order, okay, so this order to include provisions of the Security Force Code as available in acts and as well as rules of other CAPF. Mainly it will be helpful for initiating some disciplinary action against delinquent officers, so such that the cases will are finalized within a minimum time. So one thing you need to remember here is there is increasing the numerous cases. So because of increasing the numerous cases, and this is taking a lot of amount of time mainly to conclude these cases. So now Ministry of Home Affairs came up with orders, and it said that we need to include the provisions of the Security Forces Code as available in the acts and some rules, okay, rules of other CAPF, and this will be helpful mainly to initiate some disciplinary action against the officers who are charged, and even this will be very much helpful to finalize the case within some minimum amount of time. So if you're talking about delay in inquiries, so actually CRPF having rules, so these rules mainly lays down procedure for conduct of departmental inquiries against non-gazette officers. So regarding this non-gazette officers, okay, non-gazette ranks, so CRPF having rules and also laid procedures. But what about these gazette officers? There is no proper thing. So but when we are talking about these gazette officers, so charge sheeted. So whenever these gazette officers, they are charge sheeted, the time taken to order the inquiries which is very much longer than compared to that of this non-gazette ranks. Because regarding this non-gazetted ranks, here CRPF rules already laid down and procedures are laid down. So because of this it takes less time, but regarding this gazetted officers, it is taking a longer duration of time as like other institutions, for example UPSC, Central Vigilance Commission, Department of Personnel and Training, etc. So when personnel outstay their leave for long durations, then what happened? So whenever we are going even for inquiry regarding these gazetted officers, so this mainly conducted ex parte, that means without the presence of charged official. So whenever if there is any official which mainly charged one gazetted officer means, so if there is any pendency or whenever this case inquiry which is happening for long durations means this officer may not be present. So in such statement, in such cases, recorded statements and as well as other documents that must be sent to this charged official. So even whenever we are sending those posts, also postal delays will also that will happen. So it will further aggravate the matter. So because of this, whenever we are mainly looking into this non-gazette cases, that inquiry will be completed within a matter of few months, but not in the case of gazetted officers. So what need the thing, what can be done, what's the need of her, and what is the solution? So first one is we need to appoint retired officers as inquiry authorities. So because of this, they can afford a devotee of their time. Okay, they can afford more time to conduct inquiries, and as well as so they will be also very much transparent. And next one is with increase in the cases being filed in high court across the country in service matters. So it is a high time the government consider the setting up of tribunals. So because of increase in number of cases, there is also increase in the burden on high courts. So in this context here, government need to go for establishing or setting up of tribunals mainly to deal with these cases. So in these tribunals, here retired officers of the rank of Inspector General and as well as additional Directors General from CAPF, they could be the part of these tribunals. Okay, so this is gist of this topic. I hope it is clear. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Decoding Asset Monetization. So what is this asset? Asset, it is nothing but property. So whenever we are going for asset monetization, that means whenever we are giving this asset or whenever we are giving this asset on lease, we will be getting some money. That is called as asset monetization. So this article mainly focusing on this national monetization pipeline. Again, this article which is mainly comparing this model with this PPP models. We are having number of PPP models, but this article mainly focused on this BOT, build, operate, transfer model. So we are going to see each and everything in a very great detail. So first of all, this article will be important regarding our economy, which comes under GS paper 3. And this type of topics you can expect in your mains, this analysis point of view, right? So if you see central theme, it mainly says that national monetization pipeline, it is a bold initiative, but its success is not assured. Yes, here author mainly says that this national monetization pipeline is a bold initiative, but here we don't know whether this success is assured or not. So now let's try to see here. So if you're focusing on this national monetization pipeline, it is not about sale of government owned assets, that is public sector enterprises. We are not selling them, but even though we are not selling, I cannot say that it is not a privatization or disinvestment. So disinvestment or privatization means if so and so part which comes under government property means we are selling so and so share to private people, that is called as disinvestment or privatization. But you are not making this disinvestment here, but just this area will be given as a lease to this private sector. Okay, so we are not going for transferring of property. So we are just giving that property on lease to this private sector, and whatever the money we are incurring, that will be helpful for development of infrastructure in our country. So this is about some introduction regarding this national monetization pipeline. So if you are talking about some models of this public-private partnership, we are having many models. For example, BOT, build, operate, transfer, and we are having build, own, operate, lease, transfer, that is BOLT. Next one is design, build, operate, transfer, and next one is lease, develop, operate, maintain, transfer. So if you don't know about these things, let me know in comment box. In tomorrow's lecture, we are going to start with this. Okay, so these are very, very important from your prelims and also mains. And if you are talking about this build, operate, transfer model, that is BOT model, so it is a one of conventional PPP, public-private partnership model. So in this model, private partner, it is responsible for design, build, operate and also even transfer back the facility to public sector. So what happened, for example, if I came up with this public private partnership model, that is BOT, and I am coming up with this PPP model with government, and I am trying to lay a road here. Okay, so first I will be going for designing, and finally with my money I will be applying for loan, and whatever the amount I am getting from loan, so I will be laying this so and so road. Okay, so what happened later on, I will be operating this, I will be building some toll gates here, and I will be collecting charges from people who are using this road. So after I collected the money whatever I spent for construction of this road, then later on this ownership will be transferred to government. So this model is called as a BOT, build, operate and transfer model. So most of these ORRs and as well as some national highway projects which are mainly built by private parties, they will comes under this build, operate and transfer model most probably. That is mostly. Okay, so this is about this BOT, and here in this BOT, private sector partners, they has also to bring finance for the project, and they take the responsibility to construct and even maintain it. So if you see here in this BOT, public sector will allow private sector to collect revenue from the users. That means I will be also constructing toll gates, and at that toll gates I will be collecting some money from the people who are using those roads, right? So the national highway projects which are mainly constructed by National Highway Authority of India, they will be under this public private partnership model, and it is one of major example of this build, operate and transfer model. So in this public private partnership models, there will be some concerns and challenges. So first one is this process will be very much complex and is also one of messy process. And these projects include acquisition of land. So if I want to go for building of this road here, so I need to approach Environment Ministry, and I need to get environment impact assessment, and here I need to get clearances from this Environment Ministry. And this process will become one of the controversial also, and this process will also leads to delays. So because of this delays, what happen, whenever I am not getting environment clearances, or if I am not getting much loans here, so whatever the amount I invested first, that will be one of important loss to me also, right? The interest will be increasing on me, so that will also lead to debt trap of me, right? And also if I am not getting environment clearances, if I got already loan here means, so there will be also rising of NPAs, non-performing assets in bank also. So this is one of important reasons because of non-performing assets, because of this long-term infrastructure projects. Whenever banks are providing loans for this long-term infrastructure projects, it will take a much amount of time to repay. So in this context, there will be also rising of NPAs, I can say, right? And the next one is it also involved meeting construction and design standards. So if I am laying this road here, that means whatever the standards are mainly given, so I need to meet that standards also. There is nothing like compromising on standards. And this one is all these undermine the trust between public and private partners, that led to huge volume of disputes here. So yes, first of all I got this public private partnership from government, but in other ministries like Environment Ministry, which is not giving much clearances, and because of this what happened, so there will be the increase or developing of mistrust between this private and public, that can be seen, and that will also leads to huge volume of disputes. But if there is any dispute is happening between me and government, there is no proper dispute resolution mechanism also. So these are some important concerns regarding this public-private partnership models. And if you are talking about this national monetization pipeline, it is about leasing out of brownfield infrastructure assets. Okay, it is mainly talking about brownfield infrastructure assets under this toll operator transfer concession agreement. So it is about nothing but concession agreement, that is about lease agreement. So on other hand, if you are talking about success of this model, so here this success which is mainly based on operational experience. So if I am going for leasing of that so and so public property, then if I want to go for any construction, so the success that will be mainly depend upon how much operational experience I have in this field. Okay, So if you're talking about contract design and implementation of this national monetization pipeline, so the important success, which is nothing like which is assured success, but it is mainly requires considerable skill to operate these things. And even unforeseen circumstances like climate related disasters can also prevent needless litigations. So in this context, what is the need? So we need one important key performance indicator. So it is very much important because we can estimate the so and so cost in the future. Okay, so we need key performance indicators. And next one is we need to implement this program successfully and effectively, and we need to avoid disputes about potential additional expenditures, so that we need to have a dispute resolution mechanism also. So these are the things which are mainly said in this article. So if you are talking about one important thing I want to say in finally here is, so institutions such as this public-private partnership India, 3PPs India, which mainly muted. So this public-private partnership models in India mainly started in year 2014. So it mainly set up on advice of Kililkar committee. Okay, so here what happened in 2014, we came up with these public-private partnership models. So what happened later on, we got some disputes. So because of this, Kililkar committee of 2015 also recommended that we need infrastructure PPP adjudication tribunal mainly to resolve these issues here. So in this lines we can go for this dispute resolution mechanism, that is very much important in this national monetization pipeline also. So this is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. It is somewhat interesting topic and it's also new topic. So title says making them pay. So this article mainly talking about anti-Google law of South Korea. South Korea came with newest legislation which is mainly talking about anti-Google law. So this article will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations, and we can also connect it with our polity, which comes under again GS paper 2. So now let us try to see context. So if you see context, it mainly says that a law to regulate app store operators is key to check a big tech's monopolizing nature. So now what happened now, big tech companies, they are mainly having some monopoly. So for example, if you are using any Android phone or if you are using any Apple phone, okay, so if you are using Apple phone or if you are using Android phone, so if you want to download any app, so we are having app stores, right? So for example, in Android we are having like Play Store, and in Apple phones or iPhones we are having app stores, right? So we are going to that and we are mainly downloading some apps. Okay, for example, if you are talking about some apps like Netflix, so if you download this and if you want to use this Netflix app, so you need to pay some subscriptions like monthly 100 rupees, monthly 200, so and so like that. So here what happened, mainly to go for this payment, so there will be the different payment gateways. But what happened now, Google and as well as other important I can say like app store things, okay, Play Store or app stores, they are mainly forcing this so and so companies, okay, so and so Netflix companies, they are having apps, right? So these app companies mainly to use only this payment gateway through those things, okay, like Play Store. So because of this, whenever if I am a subscriber of this Netflix and I am paying rupees 100 per this, okay, 100 per month or so and so, and I am using the gateway of this Play Store itself. Play Store itself, they will be giving some scan, and if I scan that, then the payment will be done. So if I am using directly through this Play Store thing, then they will be having some percentage, so that will be helpful for revenue of these people. So because of this, if there is other payment gateways methods will be there, no, so for those people they will be having some losses. So here these technological giant companies, they are mainly extracting more profits than compared to the other small things, right? So this is a thing mainly to stop this. Here South Korea came up with this anti-Google law. So this is some introduction. So here South Korea came up with a new legislation, so which mainly dubbed this anti-Google law. So the name of that new legislation is anti-Google law. So last week South Korea's parliament passed an amendment to Telecommunication Business Act, and this law is anti-Google law, which mainly aims to prevent app store operators such as Google and Apple from forcing app developers to use their in-store payment systems. So in Apple iPhones we are having this Apple stores, and in for example Android we are having Play stores. Okay, so these Google and Apple, they are mainly trying to show monopoly, and here many app developers who are mainly placing those apps in this Play Store or this Apple Store, or we can say App Store. So these Apple and as well as Google, they are forcing so and so developer to use their in-store payment systems. So mainly to avoid this, mainly to prevent this, here this anti-Google law which is mainly present, and which mainly passed by the South Korea. And this new law also check an unfair use of this market position also. So as you all know that digital commerce which became ubiquitous, that means we can see everywhere. So with the Google and as well as Apple, they are controlling the experience to their platforms. So it has become imperative for government laws to regulate them. So because of this, now government, that is South Korean government, came up with this law. So if you are talking about this case studies, not only in South Korea, even in Australia, which came up with a recent law to make internet platforms pay media companies for displaying their content. Okay, so recently here Australia also brought up laws to make internet platform pay media companies for displaying their content. It is now reportedly thinking to bring digital payment services such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, WeChat Pay under this regulatory ambit. And this one is even European Union came up with a draft law. So this draft law mainly seeks to make large platform companies, gatekeepers, as it refers to them, comply with a set of do's and don'ts. So what are the things that can be do and they cannot be do, that is mainly come up with a draft law by this European Union. And even US last month, in US also 3 senators, they brought in a bill, so which is also same along these lines itself. So the important aim of these laws by these different countries, it is to promote competition and also to reduce gatekeeper power in apps economy, and as well as to mainly to increase the choice and improve the quality and to reduce the cost of consumers. So this is the important aim of this laws. So recently in India also this type of law which is very much relevant, and we need to come up with this type of law here, because according to report, it mainly says that Apple is facing an antitrust challenge in India from Rajasthan based non-profit that mainly called as Together We Fight Society. So recently what happened, about 15 companies, they mainly went to this Competition Commission of India, CCI, mainly regarding investigation regarding this, and also they found that yes, it's absolutely true, and it is mainly causing some decrease in the revenue for more than 17 companies. Okay, so because of this, we need to come up with this type of laws that will be very important, and we can protect small sellers and as well as developers without undermining the ecosystem for technological innovation. So this is just of this topic. And now let us try to see next and the last topic. So before saying this, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. So if you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and as well as highly economical course, that is Current Affairs Package along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear this UPSC 2022? So one thing I want to say here is, before entering into UPSC examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 year current affairs for sure. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And next one is, here we are mainly focusing on mains answer writing practice. So if you join this course, you are going to write more than 300 questions and you are going to write more than 50 essays. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC, and even we are providing you prelims test on every Sunday, and we provide you explanation part in a form of video and as well as PDF. So in this way, this course which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing, please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. Details of this course which is given in description box, so please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay. And one more thing I want to say here is, for the PDF of this lecture, you can join the Telegram channel. For that also link is given in description box. Now let's come back and let us see last topic of the day, that is Nifa amidst a pandemic. So this is about Nifa virus. So now let us try to see what is important from UPSC point of view from this article. So context or central theme of this article mainly says that quick development of vaccines for tropical infections, it is a success of coronavirus era. So actually on one side we are battling against this coronavirus, and on another side this type of viruses are coming and they are infecting. Means what happened? So mainly if we want to be successful for this coronavirus era, so we need to come up with vaccinations. So we need to focus on development of vaccinations for tropical infections. Okay, so this is some central theme. So now let us try to see context. So Nifa virus outbreak has surfaced in Kerala with one confirmed death in Kerala. So in Kerala, 12-year-old boy died due to this Nifa virus. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this Nifa, it is a zoonotic disease. That means the virus mainly transmitted from animals to humans. Okay, it is called as a zoonotic virus. And the first broke out of this Nifa virus in Malaysia and Singapore in year 1998 and 1999. So the first appeared in domestic pigs and has been found among several species of domestic animals, for example dogs, cats, goats, horses, sheep, etc. And if you are focusing on spread of this virus, so this virus easily transmitted from people, okay, from people to people from animals. From animals it can be easily transmitted to people, and even from people that can be transmitted from other people here. So mainly through contaminated food or even directly from one person to another person. So here, which are the animals which are mainly the natural reservoirs of this Nifa virus? That is a fruit bats. So fruit bats are considered to be the natural reservoir of virus. And if you see some signs and symptoms, so we can see some signs and symptoms like acute encephalitis, respiratory illness. And how can we prevent? There is no currently vaccine which is available for both humans and even animals here. So we will be mainly depending upon supportive treatment. That means based on signs and symptoms, we will be giving some treatment mainly to relieve those signs and symptoms. That's it. So what is the need here? The need here is, now in this time Kerala, which is mainly fighting against this coronavirus, because throughout the country the highest number of cases that are seen from this Kerala. So now whenever there is a transmission of these infections of this Nifa virus is also happening, it is also one major cause of concern for state. And at this time both the center and as well as state government, they need to take some containment measures with mutual trust and as well as coordination. So there is a need of coordination between center and as well as state. And here center and the state, they need to take some urgent steps. For example, they need to go for contact tracing, quarantine of those people, isolation, collection of samples, and even those samples need to be tested for detailed study. Okay, so these are the things that can be done. And one more thing here is, we need to focus mainly on the development of vaccines for these tropical diseases. That is an utmost important thing. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. So these are some important articles that appear in today's Hindu newspaper. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much, and please subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos, and don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package.